Welcome to Normalize You, your place to help us redefine normal. I'll be your host and your moderator, and I'll be here to help the world understand you and to help you understand the world. I just have two questions for you. What does the word normal mean to you? And how's it going, everyone?
What it do?
Okay. We're gonna bring another episode, another banger. You know what I'm saying? This episode we're gonna talk about enabling and how do we normalize enabling? Whether you are somebody that agrees to it and thinks that it's beneficial, or you can find a positivity in it, or if you're somebody that thinks that it's a negative trait and it can cause a lot of harm when it comes to relationships. So, quick example, so I can get out the way. In my opinion, I think certain levels of enabling often lead to the negative because it's usually you're giving someone the green light to do or act a certain way without having to worry about the consequences because you're giving them an ability to make an excuse from the beginning.
Agreed. Yeah.
I feel like enabling can be used either good or bad, and it's more neutral than negative or positive. My reasoning behind it, you can enable yourself or you can enable others. And when enabling yourself, you're usually using it for like self-encouragement rather than doing something bad. But there are times where you can convince yourself that something wrong that you know is wrong is a good idea just because you don't want to be told no, even by yourself. At the same time, with others, more times than often, it's usually done in the negative, but you can also enable somebody to be more positive throughout their day or in their life. So it can go either way, whether it's with self or with people. It's just usually when it's outward towards people, it's usually more so towards negative. When it's more inward towards yourself, it's usually more positive than negative, in my opinion.
So I do think enabling can be done either way, but just for everybody watching, the exact definition of enable is to give someone or something the authority or the means to do something. And that can be positive or negative, I think. I think more than often we see the negative of it, and I think that's what needs to be not normal anymore, but the positivity of it should be normal. And I'll give an example. So, most of the time in family situations, you're told to say sorry to somebody, even if you know they're wrong, just for the sake of keeping peace in the family. That's enabling them to continue that behavior. That's what shouldn't be normal, regardless if it's a child versus an adult, because, you could be teaching them so many different life lessons in that one scenario versus telling somebody they're doing a good job at something. It could be your friend, it could be your coworker, it could be your boss, your supervisor, whoever. Just telling somebody that they did something well and that enabled you to do something well. That's positive in a sense reinforcement, and you're encouraging the positive behavior to continue. And that's what people don't see in sometimes the workforce as often.
I like that point. You talked about the definition of enabling, giving the authority. My personal opinion, someone giving me the authority to do something, it's never been in I don't want to say a negative way, but never a positive way. It's never been something that I had full control over doing. Okay, so if you want to give me the authority, okay, you have the right to go down the street, go to the store. Okay, cool, that's cool. But is it something that I want to do? Is it something that I'm comfortable doing? Uh, Enabling, once again, it's never been positive. It's not to my opinion, or not to my experience. If you're enabling somebody, it feels like you're holding them back from moving forward, from progressing in life, or you're just being a problem in their life. So I can go as deep as saying my own relationship. Uh, Me and my girlfriend, we're in a good space, of course, but as far as what we go through, I feel like me going out, she enables me from going out to hang with my friends and stuff like that. So not to get too deep into it, but I just never seen it as a positive thing. Enable.
Right. And I think that the word itself has established gotten such a negative connotation that people don't even realize the word itself is neutral.
Right. Okay.
Because this has got such a negative connotation. And I think in order to normalize the fact that, it is a neutral word, you kind of have to make not normal the negative aspects of it. So we have to change the negative in order to focus that there can be a positive. So, that even goes as far as telling a kid they have to hug somebody they don't know. Like, why?
Right.
We don't have to like enable that type of behavior that it has to hug somebody they don't know. And I mean more so like, somebody's asking for a hug and you're not saying that it's okay for your kid to say no. You're enabling the person asking that they can always get what they want from your kid. And there's other situations like that where, you could be enabling a bad behavior without realizing it. And I think that's just what we need to be careful on. Like, what's going to be the impact of saying that somebody has to do something?
I think the aspect we should really normalize is definitely recognizing when enabling is happening. That way, it makes it easier to realize whether or not we're doing so in a positive or negative light. That way, it's not leaning towards, well, not leaning especially towards the negative, because if you don't recognize when you're doing it, it's going to continue being looked at in the negative, and it's going to continue being done in the negative a lot more often than it is the positive. So without the recognition of the action itself, the connotation is more than likely not going to change. So at the root of it, just need to recognize when you're doing it or when it's being done towards you or against you as a whole, for real, for real.
I just think for me personally, I just believe there's like I can say it's a fine line, and people usually like they overuse that expression and they usually end up just like messing it up. But there's a fine line between encouragement and enablement, where I can encourage you to do something well. I can encourage you to do this, but the reason why I focus more on like the negativity of certain things that I'm trying to remove a stigma from is because usually when something's positive, um, you don't get anything that's damaging to anyone else to happen. So, for example, let's use driving, for example, not get to too many details because I don't want to offend anybody, but let's say you're a great driver. Being a great driver affects no one because you get in the car, start the car, do your everyday preparation, and then you move, and then you safely get to your environment. But if you're a bad driver, that's when you cause danger to everyone else. So I just want to focus more for me personally. That's why you're almost always going to see me on these platforms trying to remove the negative stigma because those are the ones to me that have the more damaging effect on the way things go. Um, so when it comes to enabling, I feel like Darion said, in my opinion, just to piggyback on what he said a little bit is we should start recognizing the behaviors and start noticing what happens when we give someone what we consider encouragement. And if we're encouraging someone to do something, what is the result of that encouragement? If you are like you just nonstop screaming, you're a nonstop, like you're an argumentative person, but we give you the excuse because you had something happen in your life. All right, cool. And maybe get one or two excuses because you've been through something traumatic. But after that, it's like, come on. Now I'm no longer encouraging you to get over it in your way. Now I'm enabling you because I'm allowing that behavior to exist as long as I'm giving you the excuse to make that behavior.
Yeah, and I think that kind of negative aspect comes up a lot more in personal relationships, whether that's your significant other, your family, your friends, whoever it may be. Like, you know, it's okay to tell somebody that what they're doing is no longer acceptable. And I think a lot of people just shy away from that. But, you know, or, some people just say, all right, it's my fault just to like have everything move on versus, no, this isn't my fault. Like, you're messing up in this situation. And if you accept fault for something that's not your fault, you're enabling that person that is doing the bad behavior that, oh, this behavior is fine. This is acceptable. This is okay.
Yeah. I can definitely account for a lot of times when I was growing up, especially as a little kid. Um, I'm not going to really get into names, but particularly, but one person in particular, a lot of times their behavior wasn't exactly, I don't want to say it. Their behavior wasn't exactly great when it came to the management of how they acted with me. And a lot of times I'd always get hit with the, well, you know how this person is. And anytime I've ever heard, well, you know how they are, all I hear is it's okay for them to do it because that's just their personality. When in reality, no, it doesn't matter who they are to me, who they are to anybody else. The behavior is unacceptable. And a lot of times I had to accept it because I had to stay in the child's place. But had I been an adult, for one, I'd have been wrong for cursing them out because of who they are, but I wouldn't have been wrong because of how I stood on it. So why should that change just because I'm a child? Me being a child shouldn't determine that, oh, their behavior is acceptable to keep doing just because this person has that type of authority over me. It's still unacceptable because it's teaching me wrong. So I shouldn't have to accept everybody else saying, well, you know how this person is, you know what they're like. No, you're right. I do know. And the fact that you're telling me that I know means that you know too, and you're doing absolutely nothing to help me mitigate the situation, and I have to live with it. You don't. And a lot of times that causes, especially with little kids, that causes behavioral disorders. It causes them to pick up the wrong things, and it just generally can mess up their own growth as a whole. So,
I'm gonna throw
especially
in here that we're not saying that kids should be disrespectful and don't have to listen to authority figures. We're
no,
not saying that at all.
not at
Now,
all.
as a
Recognize,
parent, there are different things you can do to mitigate enablement that could be going on around your child, but we're not telling kids to be disrespectful. Just go ahead, Ariana. I just wanted to throw that in.
listen to her, folks, but because she is absolutely right. But it's just people have to recognize that sometimes when they're enabling one person's behavior, is also having an effect on other people around them as well. Not just the person that's doing not just the person that's being enabled, not just the person that's doing the enabling. It also affects the people that's around the person that's enabling, that's being enabled as well. Especially depending on who it is, especially if it's a little kid. So you also have to look at that.
Well, to chime in to jump off the little kids the subject, because like Taylor said, we're not telling the kids to be disrespectful, listen to parents, all that. But as a grown adult, as a person, a teenager, your friends, 15, 16, 17, 18, if your friends are doing something that you don't agree with, or you think is wrong, or you know, I need to step away from that, but you allow it to continue in your face, and that's enabling. That is being a part of the problem more than being a solution. I love Jeff. I love Darion. Taylor, I don't know you that much, but I'm eventually love you too. If I see y'all doing something that I don't agree with, I won't sit there and be like, bro, you the best at what you're doing. I'm like, nah, man, I can't let you do that. I'm not going to be a part of your nonsense. It's not fair to people around us. It's not fair to you. If I really care about you and who you are, we should help each other as friends correct our mistakes and not be a part of the mistake. It's never a good thing. It's never a good thing.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to so Wes, you're kind of new here, and by the way, I didn't get a chance to like really introduce him right now. He's another panel member. Right now he's playing the guest role, but hopefully through some background work, he's gonna be here for a while. Especially if y'all like him, drop in the comment section if y'all like him, and you know keep him around. But
Know that.
I know, right? um, when I was with this whole situation, I usually like to bring up little small side points. So within the side points, feel free to go back to the original topic, but just keep in mind sometimes the small points too that we can talk about. You can slide them in there, or you can talk about them in their own independence. But I see a word we're throwing around here a lot, and that's a word that has a lot to do with yourself and how others are treated and how they treat you, and it's respect. A lot of people don't understand. that a lot can be done or said or changed or experienced all through respect. Because sometimes it's not necessarily how you deliver a message. I mean, it's not necessarily the message you're trying to deliver, it's how you deliver it. And I tell people all the time, it's like, you can almost tell me whatever you want. You can almost yell at me. You can yell at me. I don't really care. Scream at me. If that's your way of getting out of your system, by all means. I'm a ex-boxer, so I'm in a relationship with like anybody, whether it be like one of my friends, that particular type of relationship, and you need somebody you can punch, just go to my basement, I got the pads, knock it out, because I can take a punch or two, but don't disrespect me. And when you enable me, you're disrespecting me. And also learn to speak up. Learn to speak up about things that you don't think should be done. Like Wes said, a lot of times we're usually just sitting back and allowing things to happen. And it could be because we're afraid to say something or we don't want to hurt that person's feelings. I don't care if I hurt your feelings, because if you're doing something that I don't like, then I'm just like, all right, now I'm associated with that behavior. And I got to live with that. So now I can't judge this person on any other wrongdoings they do, and I can't really expect them to judge me on my wrongdoings and hold me accountable, because they themselves aren't showing themselves respect, and I'm not respecting you.
If you are not with
I
the
think
shenanigans, speak up and speak out.
I think one thing too, you know, I think sometimes when stuff is enabled, like, you guys have brought up how, that could affect not just the people in that moment, but everybody else that's watching and seeing that happen, is that you lead to double standards being created for behavior. And that could lead to more discord in a situation, because you're saying that one person's behavior is acceptable, but if somebody else did the exact same thing, it's not, because you've enabled that one person for so long that it's just how that person is. So you end up creating double standards and unfair expectations as well when you enable somebody to do a bad behavior and don't say nothing. But if somebody else you maybe feel closer to, or closer in age range, that you can say something, and now it's not okay. But they just watched you see somebody else and didn't say anything. So now you look like you're creating double standards, and that kind of affects the message and goes to kind of Jeff's point about don't disrespect me, because if you allow it to happen with one person and then you change up the expectations, that can be seen as a disrespect, like you're holding people to different standards. And in general, enabling that behavior is just wrong, in my opinion. And we're not all going to be perfect at it. It's not going to be like we're 100% never enabling bad behavior. I know tons of people that chew on ice. And that, you're grown, go ahead. But we're not saying that's great. But, just you still have to watch out for it, I guess.
Anybody?
I've said everything I had.
Well, okay, here we go. Definitely some good points made. To piggyback a little bit more on the affecting people around you, I can definitely speak on several occasions where being in the in crowd can be enabling for you and for others. Being popular can be enabling. Being the spotlight can be enabling. Because now it jumps to a point, and Jeff, me and you talked about this on a side note. Do you have to be the most important person in the room? Do you have to shine above everyone else? Because when you do that, you may be hindering somebody else who want to step up and be that person or something like that. So just being aware, like you said, people around you, respecting others, because like you said, respect is a part of enabling. If I don't respect you enough, I'm gonna let you do whatever that you want to do. I'm gonna let you go out there, jump off a bridge, and ain't gonna throw you another lifeline to start with. So just I guess my also little point, just respect and all that is good things to have.
Yeah, especially when you want to surround yourself. My voice is gone, as y'all can tell. You want to surround yourself with people that will hold you accountable. Like you want to. Um, a lot of people, they have a problem with
Friends
authority.
ain't telling you something's wrong, then they're not your real friends.
Correct. A lot of people have a problem with authority, and they look at someone telling them, giving them a small bit of hints or a small bit of advice. They look at it as someone taking authority over them. We have to lose that mindset, especially if you're allowing these people in your circle. There's not one person that ever will jump on these panels unless you're a member of our our audience, you want to join just to give your perspective on things, but if you're not that particular person, there's no one that's gonna come on this panel as a speaker that we could deliberate back and forth that I don't consider family, that I can't consider friends, that if they say something's wrong and they don't like the way certain thing is, or I'm making them feel a certain way, they would hold me accountable. They would pull me to the side and be like, yo, that's not right. Or just something like that. You don't want to surround yourself with people that's not going to tell you the truth.
And I think that goes back to kind of a episode we had before, though, is that, be willing to listen when somebody tells you that. Because if you're not going to listen to when somebody tells you or is holding you accountable, you're in a sense enabling yourself to not change. And you always have to be willing to change. Like, that's the one constant in this universe is change. Like, everything's always going to be moving. So, make sure to open your ears when somebody's doing that. You have 2 ears for a reason, only one mouth.
Yeah, and self-enabling is a real thing too, where it's like, let's do something like, like not getting offensive or anything like that. I'm just speaking from my own personal perspective. I can enable myself to never lose the weight that I want to lose because I can look at it and be like, I could do X amount of workouts a day. And if I skip it, I could be like, you know what, I'm starving. Let me eat something greasy that I know isn't good for my body. And then be like, tomorrow I'll just do this. As long as I'm giving myself that excuse, I'm enabling myself so that I never succeed at the goal that I presented for myself. So self-accountability is real. And that goes for this, like for me personally, feel free to turn back into panel members, but for me personally, I'm gonna slide away a little bit and just speak on accountability in general, because a lot of people, they don't have the ability to tell themselves they're wrong. And a lot of people, they'd rather be right than to be happy. And a lot of times it's not about being right. Like, even if you are just hands down right, if the person that's in front of you and it's not that serious of a situation, that's kind of where the enabling thing comes in, where you got to be able to read the room and assess the situation the right way. If you're going to be okay just being like, it's cool, it's not that serious, and you can just take quote unquote an L in this particular segment, just take the L for a second, because it's not worth it. It's not worth being right just to hurt somebody's feelings.
Like what I've noticed, a lot of people, they hear the word criticism and they automatically tag a negative connotation onto it. And because of that, a lot of people don't either want to or know how to accept criticism. Criticism can also be positive. And because of that, a lot of people don't like to hear what others have to say, especially when it's about themselves. Hell, a lot of people don't even know how to have criticism for themselves, which means they don't know how to take that accountability because they don't even know how to look inward in order to change something that's wrong. So you have to be able to critique yourself and accept that criticism with a grain of salt. Yeah, sometimes criticism is bad, but criticism is mostly there to help you grow. And if you don't know how to accept that, you're just going to stay stagnant. And you're just left with the same BS that you have.
Sorry. I think that goes into that accountability that Jeff is talking about, though, because, it's really hard to accept criticism if you can't hold yourself accountable. Like, if I can't look at myself and be like, I should have done that better, I'm not going to accept criticism from anybody saying I should have done it better because I'm already blind to it. But you have to be able to look at what you're doing and say, okay, I have room for growth here, or okay, I should have done this better here. Now, we're not saying to overthink yourself into an anxiety or a panic attack or something like that. Like, there is such a thing as, cutting yourself a break. But in general, hold yourself accountable for your own actions and your inactions. Because if you're supposed to be somewhere and you're late or you're not there, and I'm as simple as I'm sorry, it shows the respect to everybody else in the room that you recognize you messed up somewhere. And it's those little things that can help change society, of just recognizing, accepting, and moving on.
I like to look at life like a video game in a sense where it's like, when it comes to accountability and stuff, like it can also fall within the realms of knowing when to be a leader and knowing when to just follow lead. sometimes people they're just by nature just want to be a leader. For example, me, I just feel like I'm naturally a leader, and that's not a title given to me by myself. That's a title given to me by my friends. They're like, hey, whenever we got a plan link up, they was like, hey Jeff, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And I'm just like, I don't know. So, and when I don't know, what do you want to do? Like, take try to lead. The reason why I say I like to make life like a video game is, let's use Pokemon for example. Um, you got one strong Pokemon. All right, cool. What happens when you take an L? The rest of your Pokemon low level. So what you want to do is you want to develop skills within your crew so that everyone can step up to the plate and be able to, take the lead for a little bit. Because at the end of the day, if a lot of, like I say, when I come back to the accountability part and the enabling, a lot of people don't know how to give a certain bit of advice because they think they're going to be offensive or something like that. So I look at it like, do the best you can in the sense of letting someone else lead so that they can, learn some skills to themselves. And now you don't have to lead as much. So now you don't have to be held to a certain regard where now you can hold somebody else accountable. It's like, so it's just so many different ways that just factors in.
Most of our topics end up factoring into each other, but you always we always want to shine light on the individual topic as well because they may intertwine, but each one has value.
But well, this to keep break silence. We'll jump back to criticism. Why do people criticize? That's my thought. People criticize when they usually have something negative to say. No one normally criticizes. Now I'm not gonna say no one normally because that'll be wrong. I'll say my experience. My experience when people criticize, it's never been, hey, I think you should do it this way because dot 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 dot. Hey, no, you're doing this wrong. You should do it better. And the type of person I am, I'm a happy, cheery, go-lucky person. So I won't take it negative. Okay, thank you, cool, and I'll continue to move on. Now, most people, they'll take it negative. Oh, don't tell me how to do it this way. I know how to do it. I've been doing this for years. You hear it every day at work. You hear it in the streets. You hear it everywhere you go. So being criticized it can be hard to take. And like Jayon said, you got to take it with a grain of salt because hopefully no one is really trying to put you down. And then also, who's criticizing you? Is it your friends? Is it your peers? Is it someone you don't like? That plays a part of it too. If a dude on the street, I have no idea who he is, criticizing me about something, I'm washing my car, we may have a problem. But if Jeff say, hey, West, wax on, wax off, I'm like, okay, cool, thank you, I appreciate that. So also, who's criticizing you? I think that also plays a part on all that.
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm about to pull an alley oop here because I had to step away for a call. So I didn't hear nothing. So this is all organic. But based on the last thing you said, a lot of people have a complex where they think they're perfect. Now this platform it's kind of a hypocritical thing in a say because everyone that joins this platform is perfect, but not perfect in the way you think. Like you're perfectly who you are. That's why you're here to explain your normal. What is it about you that makes you you? But when it comes down to criticisms, I think that the reason why people can't take it is because, like you said, I do believe it's the person, number one, because you want to surround yourself with people that you can take criticism from, not be offended by it. Number two, a lot of times people don't see the fault in themselves. And that could be another issue where it's like, you don't see the fault. It doesn't matter who tells you what's wrong. You're just not going to take it well at all. But then I can only speak about myself. I could take criticism well because I know that there is always somebody out here able to do a task in a way that I can't do it. So let's say I got a new job. I go to a new job, and it's a shoe tying company. I don't know how you make money, but your job is to tie shoes. People come in, pull up like a drive-through like McDonald's, they slide their foot in the window, you tie that joint and they move on, right? So I've been tying my shoes for my entire life. But if I'm paired up with a supervisor or a training staff member who tells me how to tie shoes, just be quiet and learn how to tie shoes. Even if you've been doing it your way before. So that's another thing I was about to get to. Like sometimes it's not even about the criticisms. If you're, and I'm gonna use you for example because you just said it. If that's okay with you. Okay. So you're washing your car. You think everything cool, right?
Right.
Neighbor yelled in the street, hey, you messing up. You ain't doing nothing you're supposed to be doing. But you already know you're not doing nothing wrong, right? Why not just not say nothing and just keep doing what you're doing?
I
A
guess
lot of
because
people have to be heard. No, I'm just thinking of example, just an example, because you have the right to respond to everyone to respond. I'm just saying that's another avenue that people often miss. You don't have to respond. If somebody walk past you and be like, you don't get out of my way, just don't respond. And you don't have to worry about the confrontation because it's not that serious. You already know what you're doing right. You're letting that person get their release by telling you what they're doing, what they think is right. And at the end of the day, both of y'all walk away happy. He walk away thinking he helped you, and you walk away completely trash the way you did it.
exactly.
Yeah. I think the real thing with that one though is people feel like they need to be heard. They feel like if they don't say anything, they feel like they're taking the smaller role on it. So it's like they'll look at it as if, oh, well, I didn't say nothing, so I'm just letting this person boss me around. But in reality, you're just being unresponsive. Now, when you start listening to them consistently, every time they tell you, hey, you're not doing this right, you need to do it this way, or that's not going to work, and you're not saying anything, even though you disagree, yeah, now you're letting them boss you around. But just not listening is just not listening. Not giving someone that energy, that attention, your time, that's all that is. And it's not just, oh, well, you bossing me around because you're telling me what to do. No, I'm just not giving you the energy. I'm not giving you the time. I'm not giving you what you're I'm not giving you the gratification that you're looking for by trying to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to the jumping back to the enabling part. At a true story, I had a friend of mine who has a bad habit of just like, touching people's pets without their own. I don't like the word owner, but the family head, their consent.
Okay.
And a lot of accountability and enabling like I said, comes from self-enabling. If I'm telling you, as a person that's worked with animals, stop touching people's animals, like you don't listen, that's on you. And then now the realization snaps back. So one day we was at a park. Mind you, this is an ongoing thing. Every time you see a pet or a dog or something, oh, a dog, you go pet it. And you've been fortunate that nothing happened to you. One day we was at a park. We was at a state park. This is some years back, but it's a very well-known state park. And we're walking this trail. Now, mind you, most places where the word state is involved, like when it comes to park, when it comes to buildings, the only pets you're allowed to bring in those areas are like most of the time service animals, right?
Okay.
So this person decides to go. I see a dog. I'm just walking. Oh, that's a pretty dog. And I say to myself, my friend immediately get the extended hand and go over to her, right? Instantly, the dog bit him. So the whole rest of the day, I'm just like, just staring at my friend the entire. I don't care what we doing. We could be on a roller coaster. We could be skydiving. I'm staring at you the whole time. Like, if you just listen to me,
Bet you ain't one pet that dog.
correct. Because now, whoever you command you, that behavior of petting anybody's pet, that was something you've developed around people. Like somebody let you think that was okay.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm going to tell you, and I'm gonna hold you accountable when you get bit. Like, it hurt, didn't it? The whole rest of the day, I'm like, you hurt, don't it? Or you can't pick up that spoon while your hand hurt, don't it? Like, that's just, I'm gonna let you know you dropped the ball. So, be careful because just going back to that is like being either enabling someone else or enabling yourself, it can be dangerous. It can be dangerous. Don't drink and drive. Don't operate machinery when you're under the influence. Don't do nothing when your age group isn't allowed to do. Don't do certain things without proper supervision. Don't do things unless you're experienced in it. It's just the rules are there for a reason. And I tell people all the time, it's like whenever you're concerned about something and you're wondering why someone was able to make such a foolish decision, just remember, if you go to the store right now, any retail store, whether it be Walmart, Target, Kmart, anything, you buy any place that sells a bulk of hangers. If you go find that bulk of hangers, it's going to be a warning sticker on there that says what? Do not swallow. Why? Why is that on there? Why do I need to know to not swallow this pack of hangers? Because someone's going to do it. Like, so our job is to not necessarily like go around telling the whole world how to act because you don't want to do that. But it starts with your close circle. If you see somebody in your circle doing something that they have no business doing, chill out. Stop doing that. Relax. Here's a better way of doing it. Because I said a few videos ago too, telling someone that they're doing something bad is just as is bad, but it's just as bad to tell somebody that they're doing something bad if you're not offering them an alternative.
Right.
So make sure you leave with that. And before, we leave, I'm gonna leave y'all with another thing that I always say: never disrespect yourself to respect someone else. I'm always gonna say that. So that goes a long way. It carries over with multiple conversations, not just this one, not just previous ones, but the ones that's going to come in the future. And it starts with respect. So don't disrespect yourself just to make someone else feel good.
Facts.
So
Yeah.
anybody want to follow up on that, or
As far as the
With
warning
a quote, we're good.
As far as the warning label thing, I just want to add one thing that I heard when I was in the military. Every warning label that's ever existed has been invented because someone was dumb enough to do it the first time.
It's a shame.
So let that warning label be the example you need to not do it. Don't be the example when there's already a warning against it.
yeah, because I hate to do something and wake up one day and my face attached to a warning label. I'd be like,
If I see a warning label that says, hey, don't put your finger in this socket, I'm not going to be the example. Someone already did that for me. I'm just not going to put my finger in the socket.
so you know what? Usually I do a wrap up. I'm trying to do something different every video, like trying to liven everything up. All right, so that's the new lesson here, folks. You don't want to turn out to be a warning label.
Don't
Okay?
be,
That's it.
be on the front like,
Exactly.
don't swallow.
You know what I'm saying? So on that note, to normalize you, y'all have a good one.
Thanks for watching Normalize You. And don't forget to catch me every other Friday with your question of the week. And you can send in questions as well. Please reach out on our social media or our email and send us your questions, your topics, your responses. We actually do read them. Hope to see you there.